So the research is, these are six key questions. What are the components of servitization? The factor influences of implementation of new digital servitization strategy. Factor influence the most of this implementation. What are the gaps of present service structure and close with the digital servitization? What are the pathway and process may be applied to transform the sector itself? This was the initial work, and over a period of again research before another question was added in, which is what are the optimal business models that needed to be implemented when adopting a servitization approach in the healthcare sector. So the other key research is to look at the component part, how it is done, and what are the available input or the output of the research. The literature review is broken into three different components. One is the servitization component, strategic implementation, and to look at the healthcare outlook itself in Malaysia. Now, what is included in this research, the areas that we find in my research, is to look at the industrial context, definition of the servitization, within servitization. Then we have the previous research associated with servitization, and these are the areas we've captured: motivation, servitization, PSS, service market, service operation, service science, and finally, what are the existing classification of product and services operation. So if we look back at the questions, we still look at existence and finally what is the output. So these are the questions I looked at. Now, the initial model that I reviewed was about 5-6 models, but eventually, the last 6-7 months, what I found was a good question asked by one of the facilitators: was my paper equivalent to an MBA or a PhD? So this is where I embarked on another journey of looking at my models, especially in the strategic implementation. And over a period of that time, these are the models was reviewed to ensure that all stones are unturned, unturned stones are turned. So this is where 36 different models or frameworks being evaluated to ensure that a proper understanding of research depth is done for this. So these are some, and subsequently these are the balance models that I looked at. Total 39 models in framework. Now, what is the good, out of this 39 model, 5 or rather this 2, 4, 6, about 8 or 10 models were my top reviewed model. Why these were top reviewed? Because it actually contributed to my research more compared to the previous models that I had. Now, one of the models significantly contributed to my research is actually, the Higgins model, work done by Oculus, as well as implementing organization designed by Hills and Jones. Some models actually contributed to my framework, which I'll share a little bit later on. The summary of all the whole research, or the whole review of the strategic implementation portion was, all these framework literally spares the same information, but they were categorized in a different cluster. So what I've done is I actually accumulated the entire clusters of this framework and identified the keywords of it. And finally I found there are some similarity of my previous 7X based on the different clusters. So that's actually the summary of my strategic implementation portion literature review. Now, to sum up the third part, the areas that I covered in my market outlook is to look at the industrial context, the market acceptance, research on this particular area, and this one area actually contribute to my framework as well, which is technology adoption, user acceptance, market sentiment, future market expectation. Now, whenever there is innovation changes in any organization, there's always a resistance. In the previous studies, this was not captured. And over a period, we found, and also a section that I had with my supervisor, it came to the mind that any new innovation has a resistant model. So one of the areas that I've captured in this particular research is the resistant model done by Ram Venkataraman. There's also a division of technology. So these are the models was taken in and identified some of the key area within this research, which is radical product innovation, incremental product innovation, radical product innovation, incremental process innovation, administrative innovation. And that's summarized from this particular resistance factor model. So one of the areas that we've taken in was this. The strategic resistance, because the others contribute in a different area. My area of research is actually the strategic part, which covers the changes in overall business strategy. Subsequently, the objective of the studies as it is remain. I've added two more components into the objective of study, which is strategic performance taken from Higgins and situational factor. This is the externality. Then subsequently, I added another two more areas objective of studies to investigate the degree of influence of each factor on the implementation of new digital civilization strategy, to examine which resistant factor influenced the implementation of the new digital civilization strategy and how this may address. Now, the preparation of the framework consists of all this area, looking at the structure of the framework, the scope of the characteristic, categorization of the value characteristic, populating the framework, the scope, character, structural and infrastructural area. And that this was the first version of my framework, which is consists of the 7S model, a descendant of the culture of the site, which is a variable, and a moderating variable, which is externality, brings to the higher degree of customer engagement through new digital civilization strategy. Now, this model was reviewed, which drew from the existing strategic implementation frames and model, and this was the final look at it. Now, the explanation of this particular model, as I have adopted the 7S, and Higgins has mentioned that resource is essential because resources are coming from various areas. And in the McKinsey model, it was only depicted internal only. So, but in innovation, resources are raised. So Higgins has mentioned that. So I have adopted that. And a situational factor, why? The question is, why situational factor? Now, any businesses in the purpose itself as mentioned, external factors are essential for any businesses. So I have adopted the situational factor in this, and a strategic performance. This is one area that Higgins has mentioned, which brings why strategic model. A strategic model basically a KPI to evaluate all the 8 aspects of this model. So basically, it undertakes all the KPIs of every model. Now, that concludes the individual variables, which is subjected to the innovation resistance. So there's a work is done over here. Now, the question comes down, why the moderating factors are this 4th generation? This actually carries a lot of value. If I were to take all this moderator and put it back in, it carries a lot of value. Now, one of the areas that I would like to deep dive to understand what generation actually acceptance of this kind of model. So this is where the moderating comes place and finally goes back to my dependent variable. Now, the hypothesis studies remains the same, but there are 2 more areas, which is the situational factor, the strategy performance, and subsequently, just to catch up on the research and analytical method, prior to the work that I've done, I actually have sent out sample questions to some of the CEOs. And like usually Dr. Janaga said, I was thrown by Spanish. And what happened is I went back to my supervisor, spent some time. The questions are correct, but the presentation that I made was a little bit more hard. So I taken back to a supervisor, Dr. Harvey. He says, tone down to your question, but go back to the same vision. So that has been done. So saying that, I have taken out a couple of questions, sent it out, look at how they perceive these kind of questions. the challenging people that I have to manage is the top management. So the perceptions are important. So what I have done, I've done some work, some research, send them some sample question and say, hey, you know what, I'm coming over for a question session, which is scheduled by the end of this month. These are the sample questions, and I have articulated that. And these questions were taken from past research and also references. Let me just sum it up. Now 10 minutes. I only have 2 minutes left to go. So this is how it works. Initially, it was 12 states. I've nailed down to 7 states due to various limitation of resources. So 6 states are taken care. All are mainly focused on private hospitals. 10 managers currently consists of all these up to managers. 5 inpatient, 5 outpatient. This is where the justification of evaluation, since they are the final customer, and as mentioned before, all questions are referred. These are the venue of my interviews, covers mainly Peninsula. And research analytical reviews are taken from here. Samples here, how it's, questions are articulated from the question point of view, from the interview point of view, question and interview point of view. And to sum up with that, thank you. I'm open for questions.
Hello. Hey, Gobi, just one question. You added this situational factor?
Yes.
Why?
Okay, if you look at Porter, any business has always an external factor that will have certain influences in an organization decision making. And coming from a digital industry, there's always a revolving industry. And this decision, previously the business are pretty much what the business gives, you take. Now the justification comes from customer going back to the business. So now business are built in that way. That's why digital servitization focus on product to services. So I emphasize on that. So when you take a service put it outside, you need to get those kind of influencing factors, rejections, and say, oh, I don't like this services. So that area is crucial for any business now. Not just building products, but not knowing what the consumer need for it. So I'm working backwards.
So somebody recently reported a study on whether a startup becomes successful or not. The main factor is timing.
So
timing.
Correct.
Yeah, I suggest you take a look at this one. Yeah,
thank you.
Very interesting.
You have mentioned the 5B. Thank you for letting me know now. You should tell me this in January. But anyway, the 5B that according to the Jonathan, so he just shared to me. But one area that really captured me is velocity. The throughput. So that's something I will incorporate, and I hope I would cover that area as well.
Yeah, I think the timing here refer to readiness of the industry, readiness of the market, of the customers, of the infrastructure, rather than the velocity here.
Thank you. I will take that note. Thank you, Doc.
Any questions?
One back, the question. Okay, no, thank you.
Okay. Next. Right. Okay. If you finish early today, then you can go and look for a supervisor and discuss. Cannot.
Hello.
Sumit Darwar, right? Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sumit Darwar. I'm from India, and this is my progress report to presenting here. The topic is efficient approach for normalized produced features for image cataloging system using supervised machine learning method. Generally, this topic is related to totally of informatics, means PhD informatics, not is a master's of MBS. This topic is very efficient for my research work. And this is, first of all, I will introduce my topics to efficient approach for normalized PDUs. Means this is the approach for the image cataloging system. Whenever we have to any type of the classifications of the results and doing a very optimal results, we have to identify. So that's why we are, I'm using for image cataloging system. But there another method I will apply for this supervised method. Just is totally based on the artificial intelligence methods and related to your supervised learning method. Basically, this is thank you for the technologies for we are using this software we can use for the innovative technologies. And this is my abstract for the overall summary. We have concluded our results, and not the results. We have already summarized our progress reports to complete in my abstract way. That is the semantically images. Semantically, this is just like a meaningful category of images. So many category of images, they classifying the image using the low-level features as the very challenging task. So far, several methods have been used to automated machine learning, semantic image classification. In this research, we have proposed a new, far more efficient method. For semantic image classification, it's using a normalized vector for WFSVM. That is the image classification of image data is usually a large data sets of number of features dimensions. Traditionally, image classification algorithm based on SVM assign the normalized automated weights to these features. Generally, we find out this overall this abstract body. I try to find out the images some features look like suppose that the histograms value and any other types of values. This is we mentioned out, and the image has two types of features we are already using. The first one is the low level features and second one is the high level feature. The high level features is easily identified whenever we have to classify in our data to using to other parts of body. But the low level features is not identified, just like blur images, curved images, and so many. Not visualization is properly. So we have worked about the low level features and so many extracted features like. This research is we are approaching to use weighted normalization vector to place of normalized vector. The experiment carried out 256 categories of database, and results is better for this us. And the weighted normalization of vector has two advantages than the traditional SVM: better performance and generalization ability and less training times. This is the 256 categories database. Internets have so many type of database, but we have to take in for the 256 types of data categories. Just like different types of images, we have approaches in our work, and we have to classify our related work, and optimal results will be identified. So this is my abstract. This is my abstract. It means overall the summary of my projects in this time, and. This is the fundamental we are using. What is image, and what is the support vector machines, and what is semantic image classification, what is continuous image retrieval, what is literature survey, what is research problem, research questions, aim and objectives, and research methods. These topics I will cover in this my presentation. So first of all, everyone know about what is image. What is an image? Okay. So we think the mathematical condition we have to classify, we have to identify the image is accordingly f of xy. F is the amplitude, xy is the coordinates value. So everyone is know how to classify the image. So these two parameters without is never we use parameters. So we have taken for this. Just like the color of images has just three functions together, and vector values we have to compute on this. This is the matrices we have generated automatically, and we have to try to find out the images of parameters like f of xy, RGB, red, green, blue. These are the color values, and these are very efficient for our results. And images have function. This is the example of image function. Just like different types of image, we have to using for the f of x, y, f x, y, x, y is the coordinate, and third coordinate is z. This will not appear for this approaches. And next one is, this is the overall pattern and recognition systems, overall the artificial intelligence method, how many methods are long, and what I type and what I take these methods. So this is the artificial intelligence. It's a part of pattern recognition, machine learning, robotics, natural processing, and unsupervised, and this is. What I take is this SVM is the support vector machine. This is the approach of the artificial intelligence, machine learning, supervised learning, and SVM. That is the support vector machine. I take the technique using the SVM because this is the overall part of the artificial intelligence, different supportive of the techniques. Suppose that pattern recognitions, machine learning methods, robotics, natural language processing. If we can any type of the method we can take and useful for us. But I take the SVM method we generate for the artificial intelligence method like. And it's some sort of little bit introduction part of what is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is just like is the intelligence of machines and the branch of the computer science that aims to create its textbooks define the fields, the study and design of the intelligence of the agents. It's just like the agent is the machine. How to train our machine and how to learn is the machine. Where an intelligent agent is a system that preserves its environment and takes action that maximizes its chance of the success. It is the science and engineering of intelligence of machine. The basic definitions of the artificial intelligence, the science and engineering to make intelligence machine, just like how to make intelligence machine. That is the artificial of intelligence. And this is for machine learning, is a part of artificial intelligence type. The machine learning is a scientific discipline. Yes.
So how many slides do you have?
Yes, ma'am.
You already used up like 8 minutes. It sounds like you're giving a lecture. Oh, so you should just report what you intend to do. What's
we just type. Everyone is know about what is the topic, what is the so that's why I just like. Yeah. I will finish with everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. This is the machine learning. Machine learning is the scientific discipline, just like this concerns of design and development algorithms and how to learn their machine systems. And this is the support vector machine. Support vector machine is basically the example of how to learn the machine support vector, the supervised learning method using the classification rate. This is the SVM I will use it for the classification system. Whenever we putting our inputs and take output, the method is using for the SVM. And this is the semantic image classifications. This is my work. Some different points are using in this my research. So this is the semantic image of classification system. Semantic means the meaningful category we have to classify in our research work. And what is CBIM? That is the CBI content-based image retriever. Suppose that we giving some inputs of their time, and we can the content to extract the various content, just like a mean of color of histograms, and different types of features we have identified, and after that we have classified for this CBIM-based system. This is the sample of query. This is the sample of query. You want to say many of the images, just like roses. He submit the existing picture, and he submitting the own sketch of roses and the query, and he will be images have to extract this some optimal results we will identify. Okay. This is also is the same is the content based. This is the work of the content-based, the art collections, photographic archives, retail and crime preventions also, the military science and intellectual property and architectural and engineering design also. And geographical systems and information and remote sensing systems also there in the CBIR includes. and medical diagnosis also there. We are part of this my research. This is my literature review. So many different types of people, so many writers I have to read out, and after that they will conclude on this my research. This is the authors and years, results, and problem gaps. We have identified the problem gaps. So many research on. So that's why I suggest my topics and my research. This is my problem gaps we have identified. Research problems. Samely, I'm already told about the low-level feature is very big task, and I am using the low-level features and high-level feature also, and different of images, different techniques we can identify. After that, we have been done for the automatic image, semantic image classification. That is the meaningful categories like. This is the we have my approaches. My approaches is very traditional images, like the average precision time. Training time was greater. The previous work is done. Training time was greater. Average precision time is less. Classification accuracy rates is less, and classification time was greater. So these parameters I will improve in my next stage. This is the table of this whenever we taking different types of images, just like sun, beaches, bus, dinosaur, horse, elephant. So many different types of images I will take, and different time to time I will classify to different others data sets. So we have classified the results of this 0.67. This is the previous work. I will include this tables to that work. Same here. And this is the research question. The research question in the manner access semantic function in this research. Okay, how to classify image features to best approaches, and exactly how to ensure the developed model for optimal results, and practical approaches also. Justify the practical services rendered by different areas. So we have identified and we have classified these research questions in our approaches. And this is my aim and objectives. This is my aim to evaluate the best training time, to evaluate, identify the best approach precision time, classify accuracy rates, and appreciates the classification times to improve in my this research function time. And average precision time was greater in the last time. I will be trying to use the less on this my work. And this is methodology. We have constructed the different types of methods. We are proposing the method of enhancing the performance of support vector machines. In propose, we try to find out the deviations of each element of the presence in feature vector support vector. And image and normalize an event of the maximum deviations at that particular element. Hence, element in the vector now varies 0 to 1 varies. 0 to 1 varies, and this reduces the dominations of any particular elements during training and classifications. This is my work flow diagram. So how to I done this work. So for the realizations of the research and literature review, and identify the research problems, evaluating the parameter and data collections. I will show the data collection in my next slide, and cite the categories and data gathering, evaluate the data vector values like 0 and 1 values, and data analysis using the tools of MATLAB. And after that, we generate and develop the GUI, graphical user interface, whenever we giving the some inputs and are taking the some outputs of the best graphical view. And the checkpoints and validate the models and calculation and recommendations. This is my overall framework. Yeah. Where? Next one. And this is my data sets. We can using for the data sets value. Different types of images we have taken of the data set. Just like not only this black, you can take any type of data we can prepare, and after that we will classify on this my models whenever we complete it. So this is my significance of research and different types of significance, preventions of crime, and accessing of passport variations, and so many variations. So this is my significance of research also. And this is my MATLAB implemented tools. Everyone know about the tools of the MATLAB. Okay. And So many parameters are included in this MATLAB, and this is my references. Thank you. And Cole?
Look at your framework. At which state are you now?
Yes, sir.
You look at your framework, your flow of research.
Flow of framework, yeah.
Yeah, where are you now?
Yeah, I will complete it.
Have you completed the whole thing?
No, I hope we complete it. In this my progress report, I will complete.
Yeah, I mean, where are you right now?
I show you.
It's good to put slide number. Otherwise, it's very difficult for us to ask you to go to a specific slide. That's why in the group I tell you, please put the slide number.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I will not accept any slide without slide number from now on. And please don't put animation. This one.
So I have a collections of the data. My position is this here. Okay, I collect them in data. Data collection is completely. I'll show you images in my next slide.
Okay. Have you done your research proposal? Have you offended your proposal?
Yeah.
Done already?
Yeah, of course.
When?
29th of March.
Okay, so that time you defended a proposal?
Yeah, I will already defend the proposal. Dr. Sarpan sirs and other faculties member also there.
I must be getting very old, I can't remember. Okay. Any question? This is highly technical and this is IT stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Dr. Kun.
Any type of images, they can look like low-level features and high-level features. We can also classify for that.
It's using a database with like
different, yeah.
You have you're using a standard database for performance
yeah, this is the database I prepared our database, 256 categories database already take, and I will prepare also different types of images have database. Suppose that flags, max. This is the example.
Is there any performance in terms of accuracy and speed? Okay, this database is also used by other algorithms, right?
Yeah, no, this is my database. Other database, maybe you can use it now. When I will complete my models, I will try to use for other databases.
So that you can benchmark with other approaches, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Any other question?
Yeah, I would rather make a suggestion. The images are different images, as you said.
Yeah.
But since it has to do with artificial intelligence kind of detection, I am suggesting you streamline your images to a particular type, targeting at a particular detection. Maybe if it is about medicine, okay, the medical will detect this. Actually, I prepared the bitmap matrix. Yeah, I prepared bitmap matrix. That is the optimal matrix. Yeah, so whenever we're giving some input, they convert for bitmap matrix, and after that they will it will identify the parameters, optimal parameters, and optimal parameter will classify to other data sets. So we will find out the optimal results. That is my approaches. Yeah, what I'm saying here is that if you could have a target area you would like to contribute your work. Yeah, different targets. For example, if it is sports, you want a particular images in terms of sports. Of course. And so on and so forth. I'm talking about the technique now. Yeah. I have actually strong interest in this work. I find out the image parameters, different types of image parameters. Look like image histograms value, entropy values, total pixels value, pixel size value, RG value, red, green histograms value, green histograms value, Okay, standard deviations and so many other kinds of we have to find out. After that, we generate the bitmap matrix. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Now we have it's only 2:30. Avinash, if you want to take coffee, I know some of you are dying for some caffeine, so please go ahead with your coffee. Detected threats. This one is also the IT presentation. After this, we have two management updates. So hang on there if you are not from IT. Okay, Avinash, go ahead. Hello. Within 15 minutes, okay? 15 minutes only. 15? Yeah, don't give a full lecture. Okay, sir.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. My name is Avinash Raipuria. I am presenting the progress report on the topic of novel approach of rushing attack in managed using RMF technique with digital signature for DSR routing protocol. The motivation of background of the research, literature review, research problem, research question, aims and objectives, the research methodology, significance of the research, thesis outline, list of the references. This is the introduction of managed mobile network. Network is a collection of wireless nodes or router dynamically form a temporary network without the use of existing network infrastructure or centralized administration. Mobile networks are characterized by dynamic topology, limited battery power, decentralized type of wireless network. It does not depend on the existing infrastructure, transmitter, receiver, temporary use. There is a two difference between the ad hoc network and cellular network. Our mobile is like a cellular network because this is the existing network for any centralized medium, but ad hoc network did not centralized medium. It with the help of transmitter, receiver, and temporary routers used. This is the pictures of ad hoc network, mobile ad hoc network, and based on the work, the network is built on routing protocols. I am working on the protocols and DSR routing protocols. There are two types of protocols, AODD and DSR. AODD is a ad hoc on-demand distance routing protocols. DSR dynamic source routing protocols. Dynamic source routing protocol is a reactive dynamic source routing protocol. DSR can handle union bidirectional links. DSR can't refer fresher routes when face multiple choice of routes. DSR allow nodes keep multiple routes to one destination in their case, faster route discovery. This is the example of DSR routing protocol. Adds want to send the packet to D as broadcast and route request, and A and B establish reverse route, and A and B rebroadcast route request. C and D establish reverse route, and C rebroadcast reverse route request, and D unicast route request. And fourth one is D establish reverse route, and D drops duplicate request, and A establish route, and A unicast route reply. And fifth one is S establish route, S complete the route. And this is the rushing attack. I am working on the rushing attack for preventing for preventing the network. Rushing attack, the attacker exploit the duplicate suppression mechanism by quickly forwarding root discovery packet in order to gain success the forwarding nodes. Attacker attack, this is the attacker attack the network and drop the packet in the destination node. This is the example of rushing attack. A sends a root request. B attacker forward the root request. C complete response and forward its letter as a result. D says has already heard a request for the discovery. D discard the request. A discover a path through B and B rush the request. This is the example of root discovery process with under no attack. This is the example root query, because this is there is no attack in this example. This is a root reply, and this is the root discovery process under attack, because attack there is a two attacker one is attacker 1 and attacker 2, because duplicate suppression mechanism quickly forward the root discovery packet in destination node, and attacker complete the destination with the false malicious nodes. And I am using in this thesis use the implementation OpNet. OpNet, Optimal Networking Tool, is one of the most simulation software for designing network and analysis the network performance. This reason of the popularity is attractive GUI and visual features. First one is design network model, specify statics, run simulation and analyze the result. This is the flow of OpNet designed for model the user to need. The design is OpNet based on the experimental model, and specify that after designing or implementing the design model in OpNet, apply the static on the design model, run simulation to test the scenario by selecting the run option for specify the collect of the simulation resultant, static value of simulation result, analyze the performance of network scenario based on the collected experimental result. This is a literature survey. This is a literature review and research problem. In previous research in rushing attack, there is many research problems. Never detection techniques cannot prevent the complete network, because neighbor the subsidy firstly request the neighbor and root reply with the help of and there is no neighbor detection with the help of any reverse of the root reply. This is the research question: how to establish the network result, managed network, how to identify the managed attack, which type of area prevent in this research, how to secure the network for attack. Aims and objective. The rushing attack and without rushing attack, analyze the result on the basis of several parameters to evaluate the delay. To classify the root discovery time, to calculate the number of hops per route. Randomized message forwarding technique. In this tradition, root request forwarding the received nodes immediately forward the request and suppression all the subsequent requests. Randomized manual forwarding is node collected the number of requests and select a request random to forward. This is the example of randomized message forwarding technique when the source. This is an example of randomized forwarding technique with rushing attack. When the source want to send a packet to destination, there are many paths to reach D. So in figure, some nodes dark in figure to require to random choice to selection forward to packet. Where the nodes required to send, for example, S, B, H and F, D are the nodes will forward the packet immediately, where the nodes H and K withhold the packet and then make a random choice with to sum take all requests for root discovery time. To reduce the problem of rushing attack, also use the concept of threshold value. In the rushing attack, the attacker quickly forward to root request packet or increase the transmission speed of packet that we received the rushed packet discarded the other legislator root request packet. To overcome this problem, use the threshold value. Threshold value is the fixed value of transmission. There is an instruction of all the nodes. Neighbor node to fix interval time. There is a rushing attack present. It will quickly forward the packet and packet will reach before the time. The neighbor node will inform the attacker, can identify the attacker. In figure S, send the packet to D for it decided the threshold value. Now assume the threshold value is 5 seconds. Means the packet will be 5 seconds traveling to complete a node and send packet A and B and C. This is the rushing attack sentiment forward but the technique rushing attack with the rushing attack example of message forwarding technique. And the mix is a novel approach. We use the digital signature. Digital signature or a digital screen is demonstrating the authentication of digital message or document. The valid signature gives a recipient to believe that the message was created at known sender and not altered in transit. Digital signature commonly are used for software distribution, financial transaction, and other cases where it is important to detect forgery, tampering, and malicious node on the network. This is the example of digital signature: message, private message, digital signature, public message. Proposed solution: in tradition, root request forwarding, the received node immediately forward the request and suppress all the subsequent nodes. In this modified, folding a node first collect the number of root requests and select a root request to forward. There are two types. There are two parameters to randomize forwarding techniques with digital signature. First, the number root request to be collected, and second, algorithm which timeouts are chosen given perfection for each forwarding would collect the maximum possible number of root requests for forwarding once. This approach provides the most effective defense against a rushing attack. This is my model. Attacker. This is my model. Source node, RMT technique with digital signature. Randomized message forwarding technique with digital signature. Attacker attack the node and destination node. This is the proposed model. Significance of the resource research. This research work focus on the proposing a model for commercial sector, personal area network, local level, military battlefield, tracking application, intelligent home environment, wildlife monitoring, and earthquake disaster. This is the thesis outline. There are several chapters in this thesis. List of the references. And thank you.
I hope you're not blown away. Okay, what do we? Okay, Tadukun, you are the only qualified person to ask question.
Yeah, this first of all, your particular contribution is to minimize rushing attack on one network, right?
Prevent the rushing attack.
Yes. How you use the word reduce. I will suggest you use minimize, rather. Minimize.
Minimize
attack.
How to minimize?
Yes.
With the help of randomized forwarding technique, which is digital signature.
Yes.
I am applying the two technique, randomized forward technique and digital signature. This is a novel approach in this and how to prevent the rushing attack.
If I got you right, digital signature is the component, the element you intend to use to minimize the attacks, the rushing attacks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then the last thing is a suggestion I want to make. There is a lot of text description. Put some of this thing in a diagrammatic description. the procedure, how you intend to minimize the Russian attack on such a network.
Our next presentation, I will complete the slide.
Come up with a descriptive diagram that explains the process, how you intend to minimize Russian attack on the MAN network. You understand what I'm saying?
With the help of randomized forwarding technique and digital signature.
Yes.
Digital signature apply on the frame of packet with the help of and the randomized forwarding technique for selection, the randomization of the and the selection, the suddenly random select the selection of the route. This is the technique for randomized selection technique.
Yes. Now, what I'm saying here is that I'm making a suggestion to you.
Yeah.
You've explained how the attacks takes place, and then that was clear. So what I'm saying here is that how you intend to introduce digital signature to minimize such kind of attacks. I'm suggesting that you come up with a diagrammatic description. Okay, this is how the attack takes place, and this is how I intend to introduce the digital signature, and this is what the digital signature does in the diagram. You understand what I'm saying now? I'm making a suggestion to improve.
Actually, digital signature apply on the frame of a packet. Digital signature is applied on the frame of packet. Yes, this is a technique of this. I am applying this type of technique. I am coding on this my upload tool, and again applying the randomized forwarding technique, RMT technique. With this is the prevention. I am the prevention this type of attack.
The forwarding technique, is it an algorithm you want to develop?
Forwarding technique, RMF technique. Randomized forwarding techniques. Firstly, select the if you are this route is attacker on attack this route, and suddenly the RMF technique use another route, and with the help of digital signature applying on the frame.
Yes. So I don't know whether you understand. I'm making a suggestion. The signal listing introduce digital signature in those examples you showed, and then. And then in your work, I'm suggesting, and then indicate how the digital signature actually influence the minimization of the attack, the flow of the attack, how it affects, how it minimizes or reduces, as you put it.
In the mobile attack network, firstly you discover the route. Firstly, any person discover the route. If you are calling to anyone. If you are calling to anyone with the help of any mobile any device, firstly you searching the route with the help. So you firstly if any node searching the other nodes and other nodes reply I am your network node, I am not a network node. This with the help of digital signature, I am the authentication node. And this is the authenticator node, I am the authenticator node, this is the technique with the digital signature. You understand?
Yeah, I said describe it in a diagram. I mean, avoid too much text in the process.
Yeah. Thank you.
We are not going to have a separate tea break. I think you all can go ahead and take the coffee anytime. Chan Dok Thai, yeah, please. The next one is Ravi, yeah. Okay. finish in 10 minutes if it's possible. Okay, but don't rush, huh? Don't rush.
Hello, hello. Dear Dr. Sanaka, dear ladies and gentlemen, today I would like about my updates by research. My title is Vector Affecting Electoral Commitment to the University, a study in Human City, Vietnam. My supervisor, Professor Dr. Hawada Singh, Co-supervisor, Professor Dr. Thái Ngọc Thủy Khánh, Việt Nam. My representative, Trần Đức Tài, Việt Nam. My thesis include three chapters because I reported chapter 1 and chapter 2 when I defend my proposal in colleague in Vietnam. So I will concentrate to chapter 3. Now I know a quick introduction about chapter 2 and chapter 1 and chapter 2. The chapter 1 introduction, problem statement, research objective, research question, scope, and the delimitation of research, limitation of research, and units of analysis and organization of study. Introduction. The first, the importance of human resources. Investing in people, building and maintaining quality educated workforce having long-term commitment, along with the organization's segmental development and detecting previous GBI to train society is becoming a mature challenge for the current administration, while the traditional competitive factor of business such as capital, raw material, technology, readily became saturated. According to employee, loyalty can be defined as employee being commitment to the success of organization and believing that working for this organization is their best option. The second, organization commitment is the key of success. The organizational commitment of human resources is the key to success when a competition levels by increasing number of competitors and competitive resources, and with a diversity, wide, and quality of product and service on the market. Lack of interest in human resources can lead the elimination of free competitive environment. After all, the human resources is the factor raising capital, producing new idea. In many cases, technology can be mobilized by building an enthusiastic workforce having long-term commitment to the organization is more complex and more expensive. Problem statement. According to Helter, Bose, and Sarah and Rings, the cost of employee turnover for business is high, regardless of the level of wage being paid to the departing or incoming employee. Companies typically pay about 1/5 of an employee's salary to reflect that employee. While it costs business more to deploy their very highest paid employee, the cost for most employers remain significant and become less significant for those with low earnings. Besides high employee turnover, rate may efforts to attain organizational objectives. In addition, when an organization loses a critical employee, the effects on innovation, consistency in providing service to customer and timely delivery of a service to customer may be negatively affected. For the higher education system, the concept of quality of combo of many factors such as facility, curriculum, academic
activity research, in which literature is one of the important contributing factor in the maintaining the education quality. Literature is the person that directly communicate knowledge, professional skill, and for students. They are considered as an important learning resources and most valuable for students. The quality of school department is not only based on training program, but also rely on the quality of teacher. This is I see problem statement level of concern about improvement regular commitment to university is not current focus, and some related research do not progress effect a first level of factor to regular commitment. Research question. The specific research objectives are five research objectives. The first, identify factor that affect the regular commitment to university in Ho Chi Minh City. Identify and influence level of factor on job satisfaction, organizational trust, and electoral commitment to university in Ho Chi Minh City. Consider the requirements that may be required to any solution to work. Consider resource and buckets constraints that may hinder a program of incentivization. Global solution to improve the electoral commitment to university in Ho Chi Minh City and education quality, trust, and the invite of university subject to the 3 or 4 above. Research question. What are the key factors that will influence to the commitment of lecturer based on Vietnamese culture and working conditions in Ho Chi Minh City? Based on existing literature review and research, what is the role of job satisfaction, organizational trust, and lecturer commitment to university in Ho Chi Minh City? Are there any requisite conditions that must exist in order to institute lecturer? What is the motivating inbox to budget and resource constraint on implementation of program of incentivization to improve lecturer commitment? And the final, how many framework we develop that will assist university in Vietnam and elsewhere to incentivize the teaching resource so that students get the best possible learning experience. This research is organized by chapter below. Chapter 1, introduction. Chapter 2, literature review. Chapter 3, research framework and design. Chapter 4, finding and analysis. And Chapter 5, solution and recommendation. Chapter 2, there are some relevant study about my research. This is a definition about organizational commitment. Component of commitment to the organization. So, organizational commitment among different components of the employee commitment to the organizational, the identification of Mayer and Allen. Is used for research in the commitment component in the research. Mayer and Allen have been widely known and used in the research so far. This is job satisfaction. This is definition organizational trust. This is summarizing definition of organizational trust. The pipeline field and classification model. This is there is some recent study framework. Yes. And research for the job satisfaction for foreign researchers and domestic researchers. Researching on organizational commitment, foreign researchers with some relevant study. Research on relationship between satisfaction and commitment to the organization. Research gap. This is a limitation for researchers. This is there are four researchers evaluating to research problem comprehensively examine all of the factors that affect satisfaction and organizational engagement commitment of the lecturer to the education institution. Almost researchers only examine the effect of one or two factors such as leadership, organizational culture, working motivation factor. Therefore, the result do not cover general requirements. A limitation of domestic research. The research on satisfaction organizational commitment of the employee are of common interest. Of many scholars, thus the number of researchers on commitment of university lecturer is very tight. In addition, almost researchers focus only on evaluating the impact of organizational culture on engagement commitment without measuring the effect of other factors. Research on relationship between satisfaction and engagement commitment of the employee are mostly carried out in economic organization conducting production and business activity for profit purpose, while there are no research conducted as educational institutions as aim to improve the quality of national education. This is general limitation of foreign and domestic research. This book will not be fortified and powered with specific research in Sweden. Thus, the author has tried to find researches that change from organizational choice variable into the model to evaluate organizational engagement commitment of the employee in the general and the lecturer in the education institution in particular. Research model. This is the partly based on the combined organizational choice certification affecting commitment of lecturer. Secondly, for the independent variable affecting the job satisfaction of lecturer. For the independent variable affecting to commitment of the lecturer, leadership and college relationship affecting to commitment of the lecturer. Yes. Independent variable affecting to organization trust of lecturer. This is a research hypothesis. Chapter 3, methodology. Overview. This is a research process. This research will be qualitative research and quantitative research. The method of this study has important role to come up with the result. That study will be conducted to study. Preliminary study. Preliminary study qualitative research. Build up a model framework with depth interview and group interview. The interview was conducted on group of 30 people, including 10 full-time staff on educational administration and 20 lecturers involving in teaching undergraduate. A preliminary study quality research survey 100 lecturers in University of Ho Chi Minh City. This method uses the index CPR to determine select element and element to remove in this survey questionnaire. The the result would be collected based on the contemporary index radio CVR due lossy. The result so based on the scale research reliability. The status the formal research high quality research survey directly on the frequently S-University Imaging SBSS 22.0 software testing count with Chromebook and File Index. The approach scale would be tested by employing factor analysis EFI to adjust using CFI method to test the count and use them to test the adaptability of the theoretical model and hypothesis almost 22. With the research design, with the model researching factor affecting lateral commitment to the university study in Hồ Chí Minh City, Vietnam. It is synthesis of influencing factor in the model study. Analysis methodology, SBSS and almost 22 software. Similarly, design, I am the author.
The time is up. Quickly finish it. Finish your presentation, please. Finish your presentation.
Present.
Have you finished your presentation?
Yeah, finished.
Oh, okay. Any questions? Okay. Tell us in maybe 2-3 sentences what is your contribution? Contribution.
This is my research will help for the president in University Hồ Chí Minh City help trajectory and take care and I will trajectory I will take care about many lecturer.
No, there's a practical implication. Theoretically, what is your contribution? For example, in this design. So which are the factor that has not been considered, but you have added in that factor? For example, looking at this research design. You cannot understand me?
Yes.
Yes, you cannot understand, or you can understand?
I understand, but
okay.
I
So which factor that has not been considered, but you have enhanced the model, right? So which factor you added in? Trust and satisfaction. Are you sure? Okay. You have defended your proposal, right? So how at what stage are you now? At what stage are you now? Have you collected your data? Have you done your in-depth interview? Have you done your group interview?
About 50 people.
So I didn't see you reporting the interview outcome.
Yes, in-depth interview for 50.
Can you put the mic?
People.
Can you use the mic or not? I can't hear you.
I do in-depth interview for 50 lecturer in university about IV. Then I do CVR. you build questionnaire. Yes, for my
When you present an update, please update what you have done and the result of what you have done. Okay. In future. Any questions?
Sorry, your diagram, your research process diagram, just take me there. I want to. Research process. Yes, I saw it, yes, this one. So research problem, then research objectives, no questions. No research questions anywhere. Is it not, there's no need, or what, why is there no research questions? That's what I observe. No research questions in the process.
Earlier slides. Yes. No, hypothesis. Not one. Hypothesis. The figure one. Previous. No. The diagram one. The diagram. Yes. This hypothesis for income. Income is not a job satisfaction. It's not a motivating factor. Rather, it's a demotivating factor.
So when
Income is not a motivating factor. It does not satisfy anybody's job.
is the income this means
If you get more income, more dissatisfaction.
Do you agree or not? What he's saying is that income is not a motivating factor. It's not doesn't bring job satisfaction. But these factors is the result of your in-depth interview, is it? So maybe in Vietnam it's important, money is important. In Bangladesh probably it's not. Yeah. To me, money is a motivating factor. I think what he says is that this factor come out from in-depth interview. That means he must be hearing that a lot of lecturers saying that money is important. Yeah, maybe also depend on age now. Any other questions? Supervisor is here. Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, we have the last presenter of the day, Mr. Ravi from Sri Lanka.
Okay, thank you so much.
mic? You can hear me from the mic? Yeah, fine. Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm from Sri Lanka. Topic of my the research that we have done thus far is business modeling as a value creation enabler for growth of Sri Lankan SMEs. So idea here is to create value through business modeling. So
somebody take the dongle for the pointer. Because currently here you have a USB. Okay, come.
Content of the research is going to be something like this. I will be looking at Sri Lanka at a glance, then Sri Lankan SMEs, because studies, my unit of analysis is Sri Lankan SMEs, then purpose of research, then trying to identify research gap and the research question, then take you through a little bit on core literature, and then research framework, then philosophy of research a little bit, research design and the research approach and present status. So coming on to Sri Lanka, today at a turning point because Sri Lanka has signed a bilateral trade agreement with India as well as Sri Lanka, China. So they are trying to get an advantage of both the countries. Unfortunately, the Sri Lankan entrepreneurship is not geared to get the advantage. We are geopolitically positioned correctly, but SMEs in Sri Lanka has not contributed adequately in that sense. Their contribution to GDP is less than 60%, whereas similar economies, GDP contribution by SMEs should be over 90%. Any other successful economies, GDP contribution should be over 90%, whereas Sri Lanka is less than 60%. But we are 22 million country. We have a trade deficit of minus 9 billion US dollars, 87 billion GDP that producing, and our dollar rate is 159 rupees for a dollar. As compared to a ringgit, you all have 3.9. So these are the kind of economic realities of Sri Lanka. Great opportunities there because of the geopolitical status of Sri Lanka in this sense. So because the Silk Route is such, we have a great advantage if we really get our act together. In this light, there's another advantage. Sri Lanka is a beautiful country. Then the tourism is also a great opportunity. So the SMEs are not contributing adequately. So let's go further and see what we can do. Now, when you look at, this is where I am trying to understand the concerns of SMEs. So the critical factor is, I have used the Granius Lysotejas model. In that, what we have seen is, most of the Sri Lankan SMEs are failing at a level 3, at a success level. Because some people are getting complacent once they are reaching certain status. So therefore, they don't want to go any further. Others are, so therefore what is happening is they are trying to play below that and having a good time rather than building the business to the next level. But if you build the business to the next level, what's happening is, you can take off the business. So therefore, GDP contribution to employment, GDP contribution to the wealth of the country is not meeting adequately. So this aspect is very important. In that light, they are also, we need to see, they are relatively complacent. Then, as universally, another observation is SMEs are relatively overconfident and SMEs are relatively human. Human in the sense they want to have a good time in their day-to-day life. So, taking these into consideration, purpose of the research is something like that. Permit me to read it for you. An inquiry into business modeling as a value creation enabler for growth of small medium enterprises, a comparative analysis, key industry sector GDP contributors to Sri Lankan economic sustainability. So this study is all about economic sustainability through SMEs, and we are trying to find out how we can do that. Going further, we did quite a bit of literature exercise. We did local literature analysis being carried out. Once you do the local literature analysis, we did a kind of a, when I say we, I would say myself, but what we found out was more than 2/3 of the literature is going to talk about what has happened. But there is very few literature supporting how it could be done, that kind of area. So I see there's a huge opportunity in research terms to find out this how. That is the research gap that we are trying to work on. Based on that, the research question was established: how could business modeling intervene as a value creation enabler for growth among key SME sectors in Sri Lanka? So this study is all about how. It's nothing. What is very much trying to get a factual data? No. What we need to find out is how we can make Sri Lankan SMEs better, for them to get the advantage of the bilateral agreements that we have had with China and India in that light. So that is the kind of opportunity that creates. So this has a very profound need at the moment. So this research is very valuable in that light. Going further, on this matter, the research literature that we have worked on, the research, there are three, the Gilbert Ryle, Daniel Kahneman, Richard Taylor. The works of those three legendary scholars has shaped this research profoundly. Now, going back to Gilbert Ryle, who was talking about, this is very clearly articulating the status of any SME in the world, more specifically Sri Lankan SMEs to that extent. So most of the SMEs they are trying to use tacit knowledge than the explicit knowledge. This is being told by Noneka and Takeuchi, talking about tacit and explicit knowledge. Now challenge here is that when the SMEs are trying to use the tacit knowledge, we need to get them to formalize to get an explicit knowledge. So that is the challenge of this research, and that has been helped to understand. So this research is very much shaped by two Nobel Prize winners, Daniel Kahneman and Richard Taylor, as well as Gilbert Ryle, who was talking about in that sense. So Gilbert Ryle, very nice comment he was making. If it is a chess grandmaster, the difference between a chess grandmaster is not only knowing the moves, but the way the moves are being made. So this is exactly the SME that we need to understand. So they are trying to use their tacit knowledge one way or other. Then beyond that, there are various other research with Bernard Marr, and then the Penrose and few other literature that I have looked at it. Then for the Sri Lankan aspect, we have looked at some local creators of literature as well. Now, this has led us to understand 4 independent variables driven through literature. So I'll come into that now. So the research framework is going to be something like this, based on the literature review that we have carried out. Significance of the entrepreneur orientation, significance of the leadership orientation, then significance of the state intervention, because that is profound here. We really need to understand to see how the state is going to contribute. And then also, because SMEs are very much network oriented, we need to understand how the societies are working along with that. But in here, the moderating variable, we are very carefully chosen moderating variable as the value creation and value capture. So that aspect is very much constructively looked at, leading into a business modeling. So as I mentioned in my topic, and as the research question, the research is all about developing a business model, finding out how we can convert SMEs to produce better into contribute to the GDP of Sri Lanka. So then that contribution is going to take place in that light. So simply what I am trying to say here is a business model appealing for SMEs. So research is all about that, and we are trying to find out how we can do that in that sense. Coming into more research philosophical side, there are enough and more literature supports this research is not about positivistic research, not about quantitative research. This research is about very much social constructionist approach, where we need to redo quite a bit of qualitative research. There are enough and more support by William Bygrave, Niergaard, and a lot of other entrepreneurship scholars are supporting qualitative research in this area more than quantitative. So actually, I hope some of you all have watched Dunkirk, the film. The film, the way the inquiry is going to be very much appropriate here. So moving further, this is the kind of methodological approach that we are looking at. When you are having so the methodology is very much driven to phenomenology. Phenomenology is all about, not about the person, the processes of an organization. So the systems that are being prevalent within the organization is far more important rather than who is the person who is doing it. That kind of inquiry that is going to be emphasized here. So then the simple question that would be asked is what it means having a business model for SMEs. So that is the inquiry that is going to take place here. So therefore, quite a lot of these are the gurus in phenomenology, Van Maanen and Maus-Takas. Van Maanen's approach is relatively unstructured, therefore it is not recommended. So it should be far more better to get hold onto the Maus-Takas approach, and also the analysis is based on more on GOG, because that is very structured, it is very comprehensive one way or other. So once you look at the analysis, what you can see is the GOG's analysis method is very much about textual description and structural description to reach the essence. As I mentioned earlier, the research is all about trying to find out the SME essence or business essence and trying to get them to move from tacit understanding to an explicit understanding. So that's what we are trying to work towards one way or other. So obviously this warrants triangulation. So we need to carry out more than one method. Triangulation is the way forward. So it is going to be key informant interviews, quantitative research, as well as the case study research of Robert Dean. Actually, Robert Dean's methodology I'm trying to look at far more profoundly, because it's very appropriate here. So well, let's see how am I going to do that. So Kathy Chalmers is very much a proponent of Glaser and Strauss grounded theory. and based on a social constructionist approach. So it will be very much looked into this particular research, and stemming from that, there will be 10 key informal interviews, qualitative, and there will be 120 survey interviews conducted among auditors of SMEs. Actually, there is a research being done by Edinburgh Group in the same way. So we are borrowing their thinking rather than reinventing. It's a full-blown quantitative exercise conducting among auditors of SMEs in that sense. Then there will be 3 case studies in 3 different industry sectors, one way or other. Going further, the present status is something like this. Chapter 1 completed, Chapter 2 literature review is completed, Chapter 3 approved, interview guide approved, piloting is also done. Now after today, maybe once I go back to Sri Lanka, I will be conducting the interviews there onwards. Fieldwork is planning, and this planning is also taking shape in the current point in time. Timeline is something like this. Hope to finish, if everything goes well, within the next 7-8 months. That's my intention. And I must thank Dr. Janaka and the team very much there on that sense.
Any questions? I would like to comment. This is a very interesting research approach. Rather than the typical quantitative methods, you're using so many qualitative methods. In particular, I think you are probably the first person who do phenomenology here. Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how you progress. Have you finished writing your 3 chapters?
Yes.
I think you should be planning to defend your proposal in the next colloquium. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Irfan Akhtar, PhD student. This is a really very interesting, as Professor Janaka said, because of changing context of the countries. Countries are graduating from LDC to lower middle income countries, going to higher income countries. So some level of SMEs are very important, and how they contribute to the GDP. From socio-economic perspective, the country is very important, a very good topic. So congratulations for identifying this topic. I will be interested to know about the sampling methodology used, because generally quantitative or qualitative, but it seems you are going to use a mixed method of key interviews, surveys, as well as case studies. For surveys, what kind of sampling method have you used?
Good, actually, I was waiting to someone will ask that question. But now in Sri Lanka, we have 600 auditors. Now, out of the 600 auditors, 400 are very small scale auditors. So there are only 200 auditors who are medium to large scale. We have only 4 international auditors. So taking everything into consideration, there are 200 auditors. So taking these 200 auditors, going through proper sampling formula, it comes to about 120. So it is robust enough to represent the auditors' views about SMEs, no question asked.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Janak and the team.
All right. Before I let you go, just a little bit of things I would like to say. Use this opportunity to try to catch up with your supervisor. Because this is the time where, because I think many of you come from very far away. So try to catch up with your supervisor and try to spend more time with your supervisor. From my experience, the more time you spend with your supervisor, the faster you progress. For those students who don't see their supervisor often and very far away from the supervisor, you tend to get distracted. You always have other priorities, your work, your family, and other things. So, try to use the time, these few days in the optimum way. So try to bug your supervisors. One of the things that I would like to suggest to all of you I think many of you have, many of you have a significant delay in your progress. What I would like you to do is, this is something that is quite useful in the industry. Don't depend on your willpower. Your willpower is very weak. Many of you overestimated your willpower. So, in order to manage your progress, find a partner who is also doing PhD, and you can call him or call her accountability partner. You should meet or contact this person every week or every 2 weeks and report back to him or to her how much you have progressed. What have you done? Have you completed things that you have said that you want to do? Okay? If not, you have to justify why. I may check with your accountability partner what has happened to you. I'm sure the moment you go back to your work, you'll be overwhelmed by your workload. Right? Very busy, right? Very often I receive email, oh, I cannot come to colloquium because the semester just started, I have tons of work to do. This thing will always happen. Will always happen. So you need to manage your progress, manage your distraction. So you try to put in certain structure. Don't depend on your willpower. You will not beat your willpower. No, okay. Your willpower will not help you at all. Because you go back, you will be overwhelmed by your work. So please find somebody, but please don't say, okay, I'm your accountability partner and you become my accountability partner. Cannot. Because if I'm your accountability partner and you are my accountability partner, then maybe one day I say, okay, we both relax, we go and have a cup of drink, then the whole thing go down the drain. So you find somebody to become your accountability partner and let me know who is your accountability partner, and that partner has to be also our student. Okay? You need somebody to watch over you. You need somebody to monitor you. You need somebody to give you a pick when you're lazy. No. If you agree, please let me know who is your accountability partner. Then you will move smoothly. You will not get distracted. PhD require substantially high level of intensity. You ask our friend who has managed to finish PhD how much intensity you need to put in. You have our friend who just presented. We are really focused. If you lose focus, you are in danger zone. So that is the thing that I would like to say. Okay, another thing, I know you guys are very kind. Maybe in your culture, it's very important for you to bring a lot of gifts. We receive so much coffee, tea, and other things from our students. If you have to give something very small. We got too much coffee, tea, and other things. And you may also run into danger that okay, you will be perceived as trying to bribe your examiner or bribe your supervisor. So don't do that, okay? You want to bring something very small, very, very small. A small piece of chocolate is okay. There's so much coffee, I think if I drink a coffee, I won't be able to sleep for a month. Okay, any other comment? Tomorrow we will start, I think at 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock. So we have one proposal defense, then we have another talk. Try not to change your schedule if you have fixed the schedule, because especially for proposal defense, you involve your supervisor and 2 examiners. So logistically, it's going to be very messy. Okay. If you need help, talk to your supervisor. If your supervisor is not around, you can come and talk to me. Okay. So I wish you all the best. So I'll see you tomorrow morning. Okay, go and catch your supervisor. submit before Friday.